Anyway, he is going to talk about how to improve your image in your area. And he's going to tell some stories and stuff. Anyway, without further ado, here's Mr. Forrest, Wallace, Cato.
Thank you, Lou, and thank you all. It's a privilege for me to speak with you. Really it is. The MDRT says the reason most insurance agents fail is because they don't invest in themselves. And all of you are investing in yourselves right now, or you wouldn't be here. It took you a lot of time and trouble to get here. It cost you money. It was inconvenient. It disrupted your schedule. You paid that price. So that suggests to me that you're winners. But first, I've got to tell you a bunch of stuff real quickly to try to get you to respect me because you probably have no idea who I am or what I've done. I ghostwrite for a lot of financial people. I ghostwrote most of this material in here that you just happen to have here. Charlie Tremendous Jones was one of my clients for a long, long time. He was an extremely successful insurance agent. He left me his watch, his best watch, when he passed away, and I loved him dearly. I grew up, my father was an illiterate coal miner. When I was a kid, I discovered a magazine called Esquire, so I wrote an article for Esquire. I wrote it on a piece of paper, high school paper, you know, with 3 ring holes in it, lines, and then wrote it with a pencil. I didn't know you're not allowed to do that. That's not the way it's done. Esquire accepted the article and paid me for it. And I showed it to my father and mother. Wanted positive reinforcement, attaboys. My father said, what magazine couldn't be much if they'd print something you wrote. I don't read that, I ain't gonna read that. And my father, well, this was about 5 years before that, they abandoned me on the street. It's called a drop-off, happens all the time. Las Vegas has more drop-offs than any other city. They were passing through Chattanooga, Tennessee, and asked me to go in and make a phone call in a phone booth. Cost a dime in those days, and then they drove off. And policeman on duty called in and said, I'm going off my shift now, but it looks like there's a drop-off at so-and-so place. And the next cop that came on asked me if I needed any help, and I'd been there for hours, calling a number that didn't exist. Proud of myself for being able to dial the phone. Anyway, he took me to police station, then from there to welfare, and a week later they found out who my parents were, forced my parents to take me back. And then my parents used to tell me things like, what do you want to go on the senior trip for? They're only inviting you because they have to. You're not nothing. You wouldn't add to the party. You're never going to be anything anyway. You shouldn't go to college. You shouldn't even try. In fact, why don't you get out of here? When are you going to join the Army or something? You're always eating, just a mouth to feed. And so I was 16. I had it instilled in me that I was never going to amount to anything. So I joined the Air Force. Bashful, shy, socially inept, incompetent, frightened. The guy stood in the back. And they said they were going to send me to missile school to become a mechanic, and I was starting to wise up about this time. And I realized gradually that maybe I wasn't such a pathetic loser. And I wanted to learn how to be a base newspaper editor so I could use that skill when I got out of the Air Force. They said, no, you're going to be a missile mechanic. So I deliberately failed the missile school. And they said, well, what do you want to do? What do you think you could do? So then they made me a base newspaper editor. And I immediately started doing things that an Air Force base newspaper editor can't do, like get interviews with the President of the United States, with any famous person I wanted that could just figure out how to do this. And so I realized I had a gift for figuring out how to get to famous people, how to get past their gatekeepers. I got out, lived in Nashville for a while. First job I ever had was working for the Grand Ole Opry. I know it wasn't. It was working for the National Life and Accident Insurance Company, which owned the Grand Ole Opry. So that's a country music show. You know what it is, of course. I did the Grand Ole Opry picture book, a weekly newspaper for the insurance sales agents and other publications for the agents. And on the side, I worked promoting singers and wrote album cover copy. Back in the days when they had record albums. You remember those? And my best friend was a man named Ray Walker. Ray was a singer in the Jordanaires. They're a singing group that back up people, singers. You know, in the background for Loretta Lynn, there's people humming. And they go, ooh, 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 and get paid for that. And Ray would give me tips on leads. This singer needs a promoter. He told me about a man who needed a promoter because he had a young man singer that wasn't going anywhere, and for me to go out to Brentwood and talk to him. So I went out there and knocked on the door, and I said, hello, my name's Wally Cato. And this man said, hello, my name's Colonel Tom Parker. And I walked in past an artificial snowman made out of plastic. And I said, sucker for it, like everybody else. I said, what's this snowman here for? And he said something that made me immediately decide not to give him the big bull story I was about to give him about how great and wonderful I am and why he should hire me. He said, that's to remind me that you're probably going to give me a snow job. So I told him, anyway, I went to work for this singer. I don't remember this singer's name. He was giving free concerts on the street and nobody would stop and listen to it. And I thought of publicity stunts. And like an idiot, when there was something real hard to do, I'd quickly volunteer. Well, there were 4 of us. I'd quickly volunteer for it when the other 3 were holding back because I didn't have enough sense to hold back. And I'd volunteer for everything that was really hard to do without knowing how I was going to do it. One thing Colonel Parker wanted done, remember Elvis was a totally unknown name at the time, totally unknown, just another of many countless struggling singers in Nashville. He said, Wally, I want a picture of Elvis in every bar in Printer's Alley. You know where Printer's Alley is? And he says, you don't get it in every bar, don't come back. I said, no sweat, no problem. You know, cocky, knew everything. Didn't have a clue how I was going to accomplish this. Printer's Alley used to be an alley full of little independent print shops. Now it's full of bars where tourists go. Tourists are country music fans. So I went in the first bar with I took a bunch of Elvis pictures and autographed them, wrote Elvis's name on it. I'd say, to my good friends at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, or whatever the name of the bar was, and then I'd glue it in there so they couldn't use the frames for something else. And the first bar I walked into, I found somebody in authority. I don't know what he was. Maybe he's the manager of the place. I don't know. He might have been the head waiter for all I know. Maybe it could have been. Anyway, I asked him if I could put the picture up. He said, looked at it and said, no, he was sorry. So you could tell how dejected I was. And so I said to myself, self, this is not the way you accomplish anything. You overcome the obstacles. Now, how am I going to do this? I'm going to be fired if I don't score 100% with all these bars. And this guy could see how dejected I was. He was very sympathetic, but held off. He said, Wally, there's no way. I said, think of all the struggling singers in this town. They come and go like crazy. If I put another one up, if we break our policy, we'll soon have pictures stacked floor to ceiling of nobodies, and I just can't do it. I'm sorry. So I learned from that moment, not to ask and give people an opportunity to say no, at least not to ask in the first place. So the next bar I went into, I did not ask. I projected total confidence and I projected authority. And I walked in and asked a waiter that I grabbed, who wasn't busy, if he would help me put this up. And I asked him where he thought it should go. We put that in, put it up there. Next bar I went to, that first guy who was being nice, even though he rejected me, I kept talking to him about other things, trying to find out when he was going to get off duty so I could come back when he wasn't there and sell whoever replaced him. The third bar I went into, oh wait, let me go back. The first bar, I stayed there so long, flopping and failing, that I began to watch the tourists that would come in. And the tourists would usually be a man and a woman, country music fans. They'd walk over to this wall, closest one to them, and he'd say, "Look, Maudie, there's Roy Acuff." And I thought, what a dumb thing to say. Of course it's Roy Acuff. There's his picture. They know what he looks like, and it says Roy Acuff. And then she'd say, "Oh, Clyde, there's my favorite, Minnie. There's Minnie." And I thought, why are they saying the obvious thing? That's really stupid. And I thought, they come here wanting to see their favorite. I said, what I should do is find the pictures of the people who had most country singers are one-hit wonders. They have one hit and sing for the next 50 years till they die in personal appearances. So I said, I'll look for the has-beens and just take their picture down. So the next bar I went into, I looked and found a picture of Cowboy Copas. And I said, now, he hadn't had a hit in 40 years. Nobody will remember him. So I put Cowboy Copas under my arm with his face pasted in my body, replaced him with Elvis, and walked out and threw Cowboy Copas in the garbage where the sidewalk was at the end of the alley. Next one I went into, I found an old picture of Hawkshaw Hawkins. And who, you remember him? Okay. Well, no, I didn't think many tourists would. I don't even know what his hit was. And so I took him down, put Elvis up. If you go in Printer's Alley today, you can go when you get back home, all those same Elvis pictures are there that I autographed by writing Elvis's name. And I went there 3 years ago, and this couple came up to the Elvis picture, and this woman put her hand on the signature where Elvis supposedly signed it. Now, don't you tell them this when you go back. And she said, you know, I can feel something when I do this. Put your hand right here where Elvis wrote and you can feel it too. And I thought these country music fans may not be too bright. So I guess I learned from that and a lot of this I don't think is necessarily transferable to what you do. But I learned to act like I knew what I was doing, whether I did or not, to project confidence, to instill confidence in me, and to project authority. I think you need to do those things. Anyway, I became editor-in-chief of the biggest financial planning magazine and the biggest trust banking magazine. Both served multi-trillion-dollar industries. And I was in the fortunate position of going around and interviewing the world's top producers. The world's top producers. Having one-on-one time with them, quality sessions. That's how I met Lou. He was famous for selling 9 out of 10. And I noticed that all the top producers had certain things in common. They all had shiny shoes, I kid you not. They all had neat haircuts, I kid you not. They were all wearing ties, I kid you not. They were all very polite and gracious. I began to expect that, look for that. I've seen a lot of losers, a lot of people come and go that didn't have shiny shoes, good haircuts, clean clothes, etc. One of my clients is a man that Lou introduced me to. His name is Mady Fatnica-Rosada. He's the world's most successful living and active insurance sales agent today. He's been that for 27 years. He's in China at this moment making a speech for a big fee. He comes here, talks for Lou's groups. Lou introduced me to him. And he's a beloved person, isn't he, Lou?
Yes.
How old is he?
I think he's 84 now.
All right, he's 84. Let's say 84. I used to print anything for anybody's age rather than find out. So let's say he's 84. Mr. Mady is beloved, and I certainly love him. I'll tell you why. I said, Mr. Mady, your most recent book, you wrote 2, actually they're ghostwritten for him, that's what I do, among other things, ghostwrite books. I said, let me ghostwrite a current book for you. And I got copies of all of his speeches and his other books and articles by and about him. And I came up with different, new, additional questions like, is it easier to sell a dumb person insurance? Or is it easier to sell an intelligent person insurance. What's the answer? Which is more difficult? And let me ask you all that. How many think it's easier to sell a stupid person? Tell me if you do. How many think it's easier to sell an intelligent person? Well, that was an awful lot of you that didn't. Which do you pick?
It's probably the same. It's just how you do it.
Which do you pick?
Both, actually. I mean, it's hard.
Which do you pick?
Easier the intelligent.
Yeah. Matey said for him it was definitely more difficult to sell the dumb person. He said the more intelligent person is likely to have the money and understand the proposition, etc. The reason I love Matey and Lou for introducing me to Matey is I said, Matey, you've been making $3 million more, a little more actually, for 27 years in a row. You've been #1 according to the MDRT, people in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and so on. You're #1 call according to the IARFC. You're #1 calling according to the NAF. What is it?
NAIFA.
That association. And everybody agrees he's #1. I said, you got all these millions, and I don't think I've done quite that well. I said, why don't you just let me keep all the royalties for that book? What would another $100,000 mean to you? And he said, okay, Wally, sure, no problem. So that's why I love Matey. His book's going to be published in 7 countries. Lou's writing the introduction to it. And he's first edition is in China, in Chinese. But surely it's going to sell a lot, don't you think? The world's most successful insurance sales. He started, he couldn't even, here in America, he couldn't even speak English. He took insurance selling job by default, couldn't find a job. His territory was a slum, Hell's Kitchen. I mean, all the odds were against him. He didn't have a snowball's chance. Look at him now. He owns high-rise buildings, blocks of them. As I interviewed these famous people, like W. Clement Stone, who are some of the famous people? Lou, help me out. There's
Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill. I'm Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is dead. Every time a new Napoleon Hill book is discovered, it's because I ghost wrote it. I interviewed Lee Iacocca. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the King of Thailand, the David Rockefeller, Mr. Branson of Virgin Airlines, Ted Turner, Steve Jobs, the computer guy, that other computer guy, Bill Gates, the founder of the Vanguard Funds, John Bogle, John Templeton, George Soros, Warren Buffett, and others, lesser names. And these people, the chemistry would be good for between these people and me. They would ask me to ghostwrite a speech for them, or they'd ask me to ghostwrite their book, or to ghostwrite an article about how wonderful and great they are, or something like that. So I ended up doing that more than editing publications, and I did that for financial planners and insurance agents. Many of those insurance agents, financial planners became the most famous people in the field, and their earnings went up accordingly. And during the past 29 years, I've learned a large number of things that they can do, which helps them tremendously. And you don't have to try to write this down and keep up with me, because it's all on the disc. In fact, more details are on the disc. Sometimes I had to be kind of careful. Like, I took a cigar out of W. Clement Stone's mouth, reached up, took it out of his mouth, and I said, don't be smoking this while you're up there talking. And I just realized later that I took a cigar out of the mouth of one of the world's wealthiest men. And I had Matey Fatnikaradzada's career profile. Do you all have a career profile? Where's your career profile? You got one? You got one? You got one? Nobody has one? That's not good. And in his career, I said, Matey, no, I said Lou, I called Lou, and I said, let me tell you what I found in Matey's career profile. He's got all kind of bragging in here about all these sales awards he's won. I said, that's going to turn off consumers. They're not going to want a guy who sells. They want a guy who serves and is dedicated to their best interest. And Lou said, be careful, Wally. You know, you're talking about the most successful insurance salesman in the whole world. And he said, you be careful before you tell him that that shouldn't be in there. You know, he outsells every agent at MetLife for 27 years. How many agents do they have? 2,000, 1,000?
Oh, no, about 7,000 or 8,000.
Okay, he outsells 7,000 or 8,000 every year for one of the largest companies. And he started out with it, without it. Anyway, I got the courage to tell him that I thought this should be out of there, all about all these awards he's got, he's received and earned. And I didn't know how he was going to take it, but he agreed with me. He said he thought I was absolutely right. I'm going to run through a number of things you can do to help you. And what I'm doing, in effect, is giving you like $200,000 to add to your marketing plan. I'm not actually giving you money. I'm giving you ways and means by which you can get over $200,000 worth of valuable targeted media exposure. There was one guy that sat right there. He was from Chattanooga, Tennessee. He took just one thing. You all have good intentions. You all feel like you're going to do this, but something strange happens. It's that door. That door has weird powers. It erases all this from your memory as you walk out of here. You go back and you go back to your habits. This is all new to you. Look at you. You're looking at me intently because you know this guy may be onto something. I'm telling you that this is how you can make yourself well known in your market area, well known as the top producer, become the top producer. It works. Everybody who's anybody, everybody who's a name does all the things, or most of the things that I'm about to tell you about. You can do most of this yourself if you just will. And when you see the results, you'll be encouraged to do more and keep it up. There was the guy that sat right there, a young man from Chattanooga. One thing that I mentioned, there was a bunch of questions. I've interviewed so many people that I just use the same set of questions. They all have different answers, and what I'm asking them is what everybody wants to know in the first place. Most people that interview do that, and it's about 70-something questions. I tell the person I'm interviewing we can skip the questions he doesn't like, and he can create his own questions in addition to the ones I like, and so on. I said, you can take these questions, go home and answer them, and send your answers to your local newspaper. This guy actually did that. It wasn't rocket science, but he actually did it. You won't do it. They gave him the whole page, didn't they, Lou? The Chattanooga, big paper in Chattanooga, the biggest one of the two, gave him the whole page. That's impartial third-party endorsement. That gives him credibility, that gives him exposure. He took that one page and got on to 2 of the 3 local TV shows. One of them repeatedly as a guest, daytime talk show, local. He used that, he's still using that, reprints of that. He gives it to prospects, it cultivates them. He gives it to clients, it reassures them. He gives it to places where he wants to speak. When he approaches them and says, can I speak? And they certainly say yes. When he wants to impress a magazine editor, he sends them a copy of that. When he wants to speak at some important financial convention, he sends them a copy of that, and that's a very influential document for him. He did it all himself. You could too. I'm going to mention these things not in a certain order of importance. Career profile. A career profile is your life story. You write it. you're the only one that knows it. Of course, you slant it the way you want it slanted. If you specialize in serving truck drivers, you slant it accordingly. If you specialize in enable people to provide college funding for the kids, you slant it accordingly. But you put human stuff in there if you don't have a lot of famous things to talk about or great things. Human interest is what people like. It's what people sell. This is a magazine doing an article on me. And I told them human interest stuff, like I dated Sandra Dee, the movie star, twice. I told them that I like to ride a mountain bicycle in the mountains closest to Atlanta. I told them that I'd rafted the Colorado River Rapids. I told them I slept in the bunker that Churchill had during World War II in London. I told them human interest things. They ate it up. Readers eat up human interest. Actually, financial anything is dull. It has no sex appeal. You're interesting. There are aspects of your life that people can't resist knowing about. You don't use them. You don't take advantage of them. You make human interest stories. If you rescued a dog from the pound, why the hell don't you ever talk about it? If you save somebody from drowning, why don't you ever talk about it? Human interest stories. And you have more. But of course, you guys have a valuable media exposure opportunity in front of you, and you don't even recognize it, so how can you take advantage of it? How many of you have ever even met one famous person who was squeaky clean? Not a porn star, but somebody like Reverend Dr. Robert Schuller, or Art Linkletter, or Phyllis Diller. I used to write jokes for Phyllis Diller. How many of you ever met anybody? Never, none of you ever met anybody? Who'd you meet?
President Reagan, General Omar Bradley, President Bush Sr. No photos.
Okay, forget it.
Kills me. I know.
You knew what was coming. You can't prove you met him.
I know.
Okay, I want you to know I met Abraham Lincoln, Ben Franklin. Who'd you meet?
Joan Rivers.
Where's your photo with Joan Rivers?
I lost it. I don't have one.
I was going to say bull something and a monkey something. Who'd you meet?
Well, I actually have a client, Claudia, who's on Millionaire, and then I have a picture of Earl Cummings in my office. But I met Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood, of course, the weekend she died, so it's probably not a good one.
You keep those hidden?
No, I have them out.
You have
in
it?
my office.
That's not good enough. If you've got it published one place, they'd probably be exposed to more people than will ever come into your office. But in your office is good, at least that's something. All you have to do is walk up and ask the celebrity if you can have your picture, if they'll pose for a picture with you. They're flattered to be asked and they'll do it. I found myself scolding Colin Powell and former Mayor Koch because they wouldn't hang around and socialize with insurance agents after the convention. They just wanted to grab their big fee and go. I told them it wouldn't kill them to do that, and they didn't necessarily like me for that. But well, I don't know how, you have opportunities and you don't take advantage of them. I had a guy tell me not long ago, he's an insurance agent, and I said, "What's that crowd down there for?" It's about a block from his office window. He said, "Oh, that's somebody running for president, but he's a black guy, he doesn't have a chance." And I said, "Let's go get your picture made with him, you never know." And he said, "No." Well, if he wants to have his picture made with that black guy now, he has to wait till fundraising time and come up with $25,000. People won't listen. I was driving by a strip mall in Atlanta with an insurance agent, and in front of the Kroger, which is a supermarket, they had a race car there with a race car driver in his race car clothes standing in front of it, and people in line. As you went through, he'd autograph his picture and give it to you. He was some chimp, Dale. Yeah, that one. And the agent said, "I don't care nothing about race car drivers." That's not the point. It doesn't matter if he does or not. And so I stopped. He said, "Look at this line. So I went to the head of the line, told him I was a magazine editor, I wanted to take a quick picture of him with this guy, and he cooperated and got the picture and left. And this guy was one of my clients, and we got this picture in 7 newspapers and 8 magazines, and wrote something under it. You know, in your media exposures, you always say something. You don't say how great you are and how wonderful you are and how marvelous you are. You don't say what's obviously in your own best interest. You say what's in the best interest of your prospects, always. You don't tell them you've won sales awards. You get on the side of the angels. Now, you need a career profile. If you don't know how to do one, call me on the telephone. All my contact information there, won't cost you anything. I can send you samples of them and gripe at you. Everybody who's anybody has a career profile. You should have one too. None of you have one, is that correct? It's your life story full of human interest things. You should be in Wikipedia, the Internet Encyclopedia. How many of you are on there? You write the article yourself about how great and wonderful you are, and you put it there. And it'll be there forever. And you don't tell any lies, because that can backfire on you and embarrass you 6 years from now. Now, why in the hell haven't you done that? That's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you have a short bio sketch and a long bio sketch, your biography? There's one. Anybody else have it? Good for you. You got a short or a long, both?
Just a short.
Where's the long?
Didn't get there yet.
How many of you have a slogan? I have a slogan. It's called "You can cut a greater figure." God knows you people can cut a greater figure if you tried. Do any of you have a slogan? What you're making me think you are is just another insurance, no name. Just another insurance salesperson, nobody special. I want my agent to be somebody special. You know as well as I do that you're unique, you're precious, you're valuable. You're not showing it. You don't have a slogan. Okay, by show of hands, how many of you have a mission statement? Good.
I have a slogan and a mission
You're
statement.
beating everybody here.
I read those stuff before I came.
Good. How many of you have a proclamation from the governor or the president of the United States talking about how great and wonderful you are, how you help people achieve their financial goals and objectives and live in dignity and independence, blah, blah, blah? How many of you have a proclamation like that? And you merchandise it, you exploit it. How many of you have one? You know, you should actually all be punished. How many of you think you're eligible to have the United States Congress fly a flag in your honor over the United States Senate, building a joint declaration of the Senate? How many of you are eligible for that, to get a high super duper award like that? One of you think you could? You're absolutely right, you all could. All you have to do is ask for it. You even write down the reason they give it to you. You know, it's flown in your honor because of your diligent efforts to help American citizens achieve financial independence and solve their money problems, things your prospects and clients want to hear. You can exploit that. You know how to exploit it? You know how to get mileage? The highest award the state of Kentucky can bestow is a Kentucky Colonel Commission. To get that, you have to save somebody from drowning in Kentucky. You have to open a factory employing 12 or more people. You have to do things like that. How many of you think you can get a Kentucky Colonel Commission? You think you're eligible?
No, I know, ma'am.
Yeah, all you have to do is fill out a postcard. You fill out a postcard and you get this fancy document signed by the governor of Kentucky. Your clients don't know that all you had to do is fill out a postcard. In fact, sophisticated people don't know it. Your attorney doesn't know it. Your minister doesn't know that. How many of you think you're eligible to take a ride on Air Force One? Well, you get my point. You're eligible for all of this stuff. It's just a matter of knowing how to do it and doing it. If you do it yourself, it doesn't cost you anything. You see where I'm going with this? Everybody who's anybody who's a name has a press kit. Willie Nelson has a press kit. Your favorite football player has a press kit. Joan Rivers has a press kit. They're switching from press kits to instead of having it in paper form like everything else, it's going to digital form on a CD. And a CD is better because you can update it more easily. They're less expensive, they're less bothersome, cheaper to mail. It contains things like your career profile, a copy of your what the encyclopedia says about you, your long bio sketch, your short bio sketch, your slogan, your mission statement, copy of the proclamations you received, and other things I'm about to mention. It contains copies of all this. You're competing with people who have all of this. They're shooting you out of the saddle. Who do you think? How can you compete with them? You can't. Suppose somebody wants a speaker for their convention. Are they going to hire Mr. No-Name Agent? Or are they going to hire the guy with the impressive media kit? No contest. You can establish yourself with your local media as an information source, a source to be interviewed and quoted. You can write articles giving your 2 cents worth on pending legislation. Always write this stuff from the point of view of what's in the best interest of the consumer. That makes the consumer love you. You can establish yourself as the source the media goes to. If you simply know how to do it, you can do it yourself. How many of you think you're eligible for a Hollywood Walk of Fame? Star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame where the prostitutes walk and tourists walk. Now that costs $5,000 if it's put in the sidewalk. $2,000 more if the honorary mayor comes from Hollywood and does the formalities. And you get it for singing, acting, or dancing. How many think you can get one? Can't get one? That's out of the question? I get them for my clients all the time. They also have a category called platform presentations. It means public speaking. You do public speaking, you're a speaker. You're a great speaker. You're as good as anybody. And you can get it not for all that money, but simply for $1,000 if it's not put in the sidewalk. You don't want it in the sidewalk anyway. You have to pay a yearly fee if it's in the sidewalk for maintenance. They'll just give you the star. You can put it up on your wall. You can take pictures of it, put it on your business card, send out in a news, really put it in your bio sketch, merchandise it, exploit it. Your competition will hate your guts because you're getting all this stuff and they don't know how you're doing it. They think you're hot as you can be. You're really going places. They didn't think you were anything special. They were beating your socks off until you started doing all this stuff. Now you're rising fast because you're what's happening. Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Okay, can you be endorsed by squeaky clean celebrities? Don't ask a porn star for an endorsement. Don't ask Linda Lohan or Madonna.
Heidi.
Who?
Heidi.
Who is that? Heidi Fleiss?
Yeah.
She called me. Did I tell you that?
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
You know who she is?
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think
really?
everybody does.
She wanted me to
She was a
go.
laundromat.
That's right. She called me from a laundromat. She wanted me to go to work
She
for
life
her.
insurance.
But how many of you can be endorsed? You know, a celebrity charges, if there's kind of a has-been, like say Jack LaLanne or Pat Boone, they charge $5,000 for a written endorsement. If they have to record something, go to a studio, that's $10,000. If it's on video, they charge $25,000. Now, how many think you can afford to get appropriate, squeaky clean celebrities to endorse you? Give me your answer. Don't just look at me. Answer. How many? Can you get anybody? It's impossible, right? Of course not. I do it all the time. You can too. Just follow the instructions on my CD. It's not that hard to do. It's never going to happen if you don't make it happen. People do not have their picture on magazine covers unless someone made that happen. It's usually someone they paid to make it happen. People do not get articles published about them, about how great and wonderful they are, unless the subject made that happen. This stuff is never going to happen unless you make it happen. I wish I could follow you around like a bird and watch you, look down upon you and nag you and bug you and say, why in the hell didn't you get your picture made with so-and-so? Why did you just keep walking? Why aren't you carrying a camera with you all the time? Why don't you write an article about this? You know a lot about the subject. There's nobody to, like a first sergeant, to stay after you. You're winners already. You're not hungry enough. You wouldn't be here if you weren't a winner. Lou told me that you were all winners. Says not a loser in the bunch. Well, I've met people here who didn't have a snowball's chance of ever achieving anything. I'll tell you about that one guy when I find my notes. I'm going as fast as I can, Lou. You're not getting mad that I'm taking so long, are you?
No.
Does he look mad to you?
No.
How many times have you been on the radio? Anybody here been on the radio?
Yes,
Good for you. How many times?
once, just once.
Why only once? I don't want you to get your share. I want you to get more than your share of publicity.
Why only, actually no, twice, but they were soliciting me to basically pay to have a continuing presence after that.
I was sitting in an audience once with a guy on stage, and he said, I've been on the front page of the Wall Street Journal with an article about me, and I happened to be sitting with an editor from the Wall Street Journal. I said, has he? And the editor said, how the hell should I know? And I said, well, you're with the Journal, can't you find out? During the break where you go look at the exhibits, he called back to the office and they looked it up and they have a way to check, and he said, yes, he was on the front page of an inside section with an article talking about how he's lost his securities license. Had a woman tell me she'd been on the Johnny Carson show, or the Tonight Show, whatever it was called back then. She wouldn't tell me more than that until I kept pestering her. Finally, she said she was in a high school band that marched across the stage when she was a teenager. I suppose that qualifies as being on. I've met financial planners and insurance agents that say, I've been on the same stage as Bob Hope, John Wayne, and Lucille Ball. What they don't tell you is that they were all on that stage at different times. They were on the stage when it was empty and there's nobody in the audience. It's amazing how people in your profession lie. You're the biggest bunch of liars on earth. I catch them in lies all the time. Some guy will tell me he's #1 producer for so-and-so company, and I'll meet the president of that company, and I'll say, I met your #1 producer last week. And he'll say, who? Who? I never heard of him. He's not one of our, I know our top 20 personally, he's not one of them. Claim designations they don't have. I've represented famous people, and you know, I stay in the background, stay hidden. You know, I don't reveal that I write their books and their materials and things like that. And I've had people tell me that they sold insurance to these famous people, that they were the agent for that person. And I've gone right back to that person's hotel room and asked them, and they said it's a total lie, I never met the person. It's not hard to get on the radio. Most radio, newspapers, magazines will always let you on one time. There's no saying what you're going to do after you drop your pants, so you don't have anything left to show them. They'll give you one time, not too hard. You're not even taking advantage of that one time. But you want to be on there, radio or TV, whatever it is, more than once. How many of you use influence centers to help you? Like the Rotary Club, your local Rotary Club, you do that? Do you use any influence center to help you?
Yes,
What is it?
real estate.
Mm-hmm. That's good. You work with other, liaison with other professionals?
I do.
Doesn't help a lot that real estate is so depressed now, does it?
Yeah, but they need help.
Uh-huh.
They need help.
Yeah, everybody's at a disadvantage if they don't use your service. You're still at the right place at the right time. There's still a tremendous need for your services. You can have a legitimate book. It's not hard. I've written, ghostwritten, 5 books that made the New York Times top 10 bestseller list. Now that's incredible, isn't it? Look, absolutely incredible. I've written a lot more that didn't sell that well. It's all a matter of promotion. Client didn't promote them enough. The books that I wrote that made the New York Times that made the New York Times top 10 bestseller list, and I had to sign an agreement saying I would remain a ghostwriter. Those books were not especially good. One of them was nothing but the client's sales pitch. But you need a legitimate book. By legitimate, I mean not self-published. You don't want to pay a printer to print a book for you, a book that has no distribution, no circulation, it's in no bookstores, it's all in boxes in your bedroom. You have to sell it, you have to bill for it, you have to collect, you have to be charged for it. You don't want to do that. You want to get it published by a professional, legitimate book publishing company that is respected, that's in the business of doing all that and pays you a royalty. The difference is one way you pay a printer, the other way the book publisher pays you royalties. That's not hard to figure out which way to go. You can get the Prudent Man Award. That's impressive credit. Oh, you're all looking at me so seriously, and I just want to hit you. The man that issues the Prudent Man Award is sitting in this room. His initials are Lou Nason. Now, need I say more? It doesn't cost you anything to get it. It sure look impressive on your wall, and in your bio sketch, and in your career profile, etc., etc. It sure impress your clients and prospects. You need a speaker introduction. If you're going to give a speech, you know that guy that does a real lousy job of introducing you, and even if you give him a speaker introduction, he doesn't read it because he thinks he's so cute and clever. He can ad-lib it, and he really just screws it up. He's full of himself, jerk. You meet him all the time. You give him your speaker introduction, which is brief, talks about your greatest highlights. You ask him to read it in front of you. That's another thing. Stop being so nice. You have to make these things happen. Stop being so nice. You have to make these things happen. I had to make it happen to get Elvis's picture in Printer's Alley. I had to make it happen. I couldn't be so nice. I'm not saying slap people or shout at them or harp at them like I'm doing you. But I love you. You're my people. I make a living from people like you. I've been working with agents and planners for a long time. How old? I'm almost 70 years old. I have to comb my hair trying to cover up my bald spots. You need a speaker's introduction. None of you have a speaker's introduction, do you? Am I talking gibberish? Does any of this make any sense to you? Do you believe it? You're going to forget it as soon as you get out of here? You want $200,000 worth of assets that you can put to work for you, that you can add to your marketing program, that you can use to make yourself better known, and even if you flop, you're going to end up better known than the rest of the people in your market area, unless you're in New York City or some major place like Chicago. Where are you from? Oh, Nashville.
Nashville.
You can do it in Nashville. There's no financial person in Nashville that I couldn't shoot out of the saddle if I had a competition that I was working for. Where are you from?
Indiana.
Whereabouts?
Northwest Indiana, the county closest to Chicago.
Oh dear.
The region.
Is your local media the Chicago media?
No, we have our own.
Well, good.
We have a big
Then
paper, yeah.
then you can become the big deal in your area. Where are you from?
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Oh, you definitely can. That's a great place with a lot of media opportunities there.
Cincinnati.
Perfect for you. Perfect. I mean, you have a lot of options. Some counties in Cincinnati have their own magazine. The county I live in has 3 county magazines. We have state magazines. We have newspapers and radio stations. Atlanta has 28 radio stations. Where are you from?
Philadelphia.
Kind of tough. You know, that's the big leagues. And the competition there is
Tough.
highly skilled, professional, brutal. Still, with your charm, with your looks, And you know, things like that count, but they shouldn't, you know? But if you have the Hollywood type appeal, it works for you. I've known financial planners, I guess it's okay to say this. We're friends, right? We're close, it's private. I've known financial planners who would roll up men, who'd roll up socks and put it in their underwear to create a bulge down there. They thought that made them look more attractive. I know people, PR agencies, that have the materials that I'm talking about, some of which I'm talking about here, when they're delivered to magazines, newspapers, or whatever it is. If they're going to a male, they have a beautiful woman delivered. If it's going to a female, they have a handsome man delivered. Just the handsome person. I had one of those guys, a handsome man, tell me that her publisher wouldn't let her use the material she had. He gave her. But she called him and told him ways that they could use it if he would change it according to so-and-so. And by the way, would she like to meet him for drinks tonight? I don't think this is necessarily good. I was in a hotel room one time and there was a knock on the door. At the time I was editor of a big, important financial magazine. A prostitute came to my door, beautiful young woman. I was doing an article on E.F. Hutton, and E.F. Hutton decided I might appreciate a prostitute. And so I turned this girl down, politely and tactfully. I refused her offer. She told me I'd already been paid for her, and I said, no, thank you, but good luck to you, and I'm sorry. She left. About 30 minutes later, there was another knock. Opened the door, and there's a handsome young man there. They had assumed that since I didn't want the woman, I wanted a male. I don't propose that you do any of that kind of stuff. I don't know how I got off onto that. You need a speaker introduction. I hate to pass over this so lightly. It needs to be slapped into your consciousness. You need to go home and do it. You need to look at the great details on the CD, which is a guide that anyone could follow. You certainly can. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't. You need to, I just want to scream at you as I cover these, forgive me, but you stand to benefit so much. I would trade places with any of you in a minute if I could be younger and know what I know now. I could promote the heck out of myself. Does that mean hurry up?
No, we need to eat.
Oh.
Let's take a break.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you how to get a flag next. We can go eat now, take a break, and I'll leave you alone for a few minutes.
That's very interesting, thank you.
Have any of you ever heard of Zig Ziglar?
Oh.
I have a Pembroke Welsh Corgi dog that Zig gave me. And that's a human interest story. People are interested in that. You'll probably remember that. Human interest stories are what register with people. That's what people remember. You probably don't even use them.
You want to tell me President Reagan's story?
The guy that used to be my assistant he wanted to go to the White House and be the assistant to the president. But I couldn't get him that. I got him assistant to the chief of staff at the White House. And I went to the White House to visit my former assistant, and he took me to the chief of staff's office, which was Howard Baker at the time. And so Senator Baker told me to sit at his desk. You know, that's something governors do and senators do. They know darn well that you're going to go out of there and say, I sat at the governor's desk. I sat where he did. Anyway, I was sitting there and the fax came through, and it was the first time I ever saw a fax machine, so I was just excited that fax came through for the chief of staff of the White House. So that's what a fax looks like. And then President Reagan walked in, and I was alone in there. And there was no one in there except President Reagan and myself. And so I didn't know what to do. And President Reagan asked me who I was and what I did. And I told him. who I was and that I was a media advocate. And he said, "What's that?" And I told him I helped my clients create and establish and maintain their image. And he asked me to critique his image. I thought he meant his appearance. So I started critiquing his haircut and his clothes and his shoe shine. And I bit down and raised up his pants leg on one of his legs and looked at his socks to see if it was a knee-length sock, and I complimented his sock. I thought that's what he meant, and he started laughing. That's my Reagan story. I think he meant his image across the nation or something like that.
Yep.
When I was just a kid, my father liked Glenn Miller music. You're also young, you never heard of Glenn Miller, right?
Oh, no, we've heard of it.
And even though I was a kid and poor and uneducated, in the poor state, the backward part of it, I got the Glenn Miller Orchestra, the new Glenn Miller Orchestra, to go sit up in the backyard of his shack and play for him for free. Now that's pretty good manipulator, isn't it? I'm a manipulator. I manipulate the media for the benefit of my clients. I discovered I had this gift for manipulating things.
And then what did your dad think of you?
Not much. He never thought much of me. He was, if I could drink a six-pack and wear boots and stomp on the floor and watch the game, he'd think I was a real man. He thought the work I did was sissy work. He never thought much of me. You can pull out the nails, but you can't pull out the nail holes, and I still have those nail holes.
Mm-hmm.
Dents in the armor, emotional scars, whatever.
Scars make you who you are today, though.
I'm so old now that I don't, you remember when Robert Preston got the Academy Award for the Music Man, he said he didn't care if he got it or not, that he was so old it didn't matter. I signed a contract to write a movie for the Walt Disney Company. They're definitely going to make the movie. There was a time when I would have been thrilled and elated, super happy walking on air. Now I'm so damn old, I don't even care. I hope it's a success. I think it will be. It's a true story. I went to give a talk at a high school, and this boy, the other kids were picking on him. He sat in the back, and they were making fun of him in front of me, and I didn't do anything about it. I didn't know what to do, so I ignored it. And when I left, I realized that was wrong. And so I went back to the teacher a few days later, and she said the boy had no father. He was very bashful and shy, and he was a loser and failing. So I went to see the boy's mother. And the boy was a pimple-faced, skinny kid who sat next to the bus driver because other people hit him, other students hit him. He was unpopular, had no friends. I tried to talk to the boy. He wasn't interested in anything but Toyota cars. So then I called the Toyota people, and they had a car show coming up. And I said, I've got a kid that knows all about Toyota's products. I said, why don't you have him as your spokesperson? I'll get you on all TV stations, if you do, in Atlanta. That's a big market. And so they did. They gave him all this Toyota gear. So I had him on the TV news, kid talking for Toyota. He goes to school wearing all these Toyota clothes. Now he's a star, a hero. I asked the coach to make him a track star. I bought the boy's track clothes. This would make him an athlete, run. And coach said no. So I talked with the coach some more, and so he did. So now the boy's an athlete. I got the boy in some TV commercials for a fast food place. So now he's a star and becomes very popular at school, and the football players want to be his friend. I completely changed his image. You see how image can change the paradigm. Image can change your dynamics. Image can change everything. This boy was, when he graduated, he was voted something or other, and won a scholarship. He learned to hold his shoulders back, to speak up. He developed confidence. All because somebody took the time to help him develop a desirable image that would help him in his situation. Anyway, I wrote a movie about that. and proposed it to Disney. They liked it and asked me to do the screenplay. I've written other movies, but they were all flops. Anyway, I know how to write a screenplay. And I think this one will be a hit because they'll do it so well. It's a feel-good family movie. But still, look how long it took me to get there, and I'm so old now that I honestly don't care.
You started to tell us about a clock and it's time for, and then you stopped. What were you saying?
Lou bought a bunch of clocks.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get a picture of all of them holding the clock and take turns with the person in the center holding the biggest clock. He told me to do something special for them and something they could use now. So I'll give them a news release about it's time to blah, 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 and put it in their paper for them if they can't figure out how to do it. They just have to give me their name, address, and the name of their papers, 2 of them. And you'll take the pictures, and we'll have to rush through it because there's so many to do. And you hold the biggest clock in the center of the group, and then you hold the biggest clock in the center of the group, and we rotate so everybody does that. And then we'll give you the picture, and the caption goes under it. You know, pictures of people standing there like that are dull, boring, man in a suit.
Right.
That doesn't have any interest, but if you're holding clocks, people can't resist reading what that's all about. And you're saying something to the effect, I'll give it to you now since you brought it up. One of these says Wally, my name on the top of it. On the one that says Wally, please indicate your name, title, like agent, planner, financial advisor, address, telephone, and email address. This is just a draft, a rough draft of what the news release will say. But we'll take the picture to go with this, and it doesn't obligate you or make you legally responsible for anything. But anyway, if you want to keep a copy of this draft, I can certainly do a better short news release, just a bit long caption to go under the picture. They can't hardly resist that. I'm sure the pickup and use of it will be tremendous. It's saying that all insurance agents and financial planners are being published by the wrongdoing of Wall Street and the banking industry, and it's time for tighter regulations to protect the consumers. That's what your consumers want to hear. Maybe you don't feel that way really, but sign this agreement that you do anyways, so we can say this. You understand that? Yeah. It says stuff like that. Anyway, would you pass one of those out to everybody, and the one that says my name on it, would all of you write your name, and that's information I asked for, or else you won't get one.
Okay.
And that's what I'm doing for you for free, because he said I had to do something that would help you immediately.
I've been yelling at him. No, Wally and I have a lot of fun. He yells at me and I yell at him.
Well, save one for me.
Oh, sorry.
Keep one for me too.
So you want us to sign on your copy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, where it says 1, 2,
All
3,
right,
4.
we'll pass this along.
Print your names, please. Instead of writing them, print them. I'm very dumb.
All right, while you're doing that, everything that he's talked about and more, about getting a flag, getting endorsements, getting the Kentucky Colonel, all that and all the forms, how to do a press release, why you should get pictures taken with celebrities, and how to merchandise them. All of that he's put on a disc. Actually, it should be, I think they're over there. Anyway, it is the preliminary system. We'll probably be selling this thing for $2.99. Okay, and but he's authorized me to offer it to you guys for $149.
It says things like how to get your name on that sign in Times Square. You know the one I'm talking about? You know what that costs you? $250. And they send you a picture of that to prove it was up there. That's all. What?
No, I was just laughing because my company.
It tells you how to get a regular column, how to get your articles in magazines, how to speak at the White House. Do you know you can speak at the White House? The White House receives speakers. It doesn't mean you'll speak to the president. It means you'll speak to any White House staffers that want to show up. They have a guest speaker every day. You could speak at the White House. Think how that'd look in your bio sketch, that you spoke at the White House. Be pretty impressive.
I don't think I would be there for very long.
Well, you couldn't talk about that. But your competition would hate your guts for
Yes, they
things like
would.
that.
Let's start a riot.
Think about that, that's all legitimate stuff.
Yeah,
It cost you $22.55 to get the flag honor. With that, you get a fancy superintendent, you get a fancy certificate signed by the superintendent of documents for the federal government certifying this flag did indeed fly by order of the United States Senate. Joint proclamation recognizing you for blah, blah, blah. And that blah, blah, blah is the information you give them. And I suggest you buy the cheap. The flags come in about 8 different sizes and different materials. You can get nylon or cotton. You don't want a flag big as a car. What are you going to do with it? But you can get a smallest one for $15. All you have to do is pay for the flag. And one of those on that CD, there's complete details about how to build your media kit, what goes in it, how to position yourself, so you can better market your services. You can use your media kit for all kinds of things. You can put your media kit to work for you. You cannot do that if you don't have one.
Yeah, think about, we talk about joint ventures and speaking at the Rotary Club or, the Lions Clubs or speaking for the 4-H, for the parents of 4-H and stuff, or for your church. Imagine if you have a press kit or a media kit. Is that going to make it easier for you to get that?
Now get this, good folks. Did you know, it's all detailed in the CD. There's over 100 places that will send your news releases all around the world for you, for free. For free. Totally free. Why do they do this for free? Because they want to sell you other services, additional services doing that. You don't need to circulate your news releases in Alaska or Afghanistan. You don't do business there, you're not licensed there. They're hoping you will, but you have no reason to do that. You can tell them where you want it circulated in your geographical market area. And to all the financial media, for no cost. That used to be impossible. The computer made that possible. And Lou and I compiled
That's where I get my mail.
this long list of places you can contact. We decided the best one to deal with is the one we deal with. It's called PR Leap. We say so here, and how to go to it on the internet. They do not charge you. It's unbelievable. It's a good deal for you. I remember the days when you had to pay postage for every one you sent out and buy an envelope and print them and so forth. Doesn't get any better than that. If you don't take advantage of that service, you're insane and hopeless. It talks about all these con men that want to sell you garbage. There's more phony baloney trainers in your industry, I think, than any. You see these phony ads that say, let decision makers triple your income in 1 week. They know that's a lie. You're not going to triple your income in 1 week. So join us, all our members make millions more than you do. You know, recruiters promise you anything. Never again fail to make a sale. Make all other agents jealous of you. Will you ever do what it takes to make you rich? We discovered the one true secret. Become a multi-sports financial super coach in only 3 days. Hot chicks who want sex with you now. I threw that one in for a little bit. Get your college degree in 2 weeks. Never again be outsold by any competition. Everyone wins when you gamble with us. Get our $10,000 training for only $2,000 if you act today. Top 10 guaranteed stock money makers for next year. Attract 5 new high net worth clients every week. Are you mad as hell not going to take it anymore? I discovered the one true secret for maximum success. As this goes on and on, you've heard all this bull, lies, cons. You're bombarded with that kind of stuff. You need to resist it. The VIP interview with you, that's the one, some that desk, but it's the one the guy from Chattanooga went home and actually answered the questions that he wanted to answer. He understood to skip the ones he didn't want to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I told you the story about Joe, didn't I?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I must have been telling you then. Okay. About 4 years ago. And him and his wife had a partnership with this other gentleman in to sell annuities and stuff. And they were very frustrated. They had made $16,000 between the two of them for the year. They were disillusioned, ready to get out of the business, the whole 9 yards. Now, Joe is probably in his early 30s now, so he's probably in his late 20s then. He had spiked hair, still wears his hair as spiked hair. He's a clean shaven young man, he's a nice looking, but he's spiked hair and everything else. All right? And he looks like he's, 19.
did I meet him?
Yeah. Joe Casey, the one from Chattanooga.
Oh,
Okay. Anyway, he did what Wally said. He came to our boot camp. Actually, I let him come for free.
Ooh.
I don't do that normally. I felt sorry for him and his wife. Let him come for free. He listened to Wally. Joe now does about $500,000 a year with seniors, with spiked hair. Can you imagine?
That's hard to believe.
Did he pay you back?
Gratitude.
imagine what he could do if he didn't have spiked hair.
You plant a few good seeds along the way, and it always comes back to you
Yeah.
other ways.
No, I
You
know.
need a list.
Yeah, I know.
You need to have a list of your references. How many of you do that? Have a list of references, happy campers? Your clients love to see that. They want you to have the list even if they don't read it. They want it.
Uh-huh.
Or do you look as professional as your competition?
Okay.
I think all of you do. You know that. That's elementary to you, to this group. Don't be a determined failure. Get this. Here's the guy that was sitting right over there. I said he was an older man. And the older we get, the more locked into our ways we become, the more inflexible. I recommended to this struggling agent. He had been in the business for a long time. I recommended that he have himself photographed with an appropriate famous person and then tactfully exploit those pictures. And he quickly replied to me, he said, "Not me, that would be misleading. I don't know famous people." So I suggested that he work with influence centers. He immediately shot this idea down by responding, "I find Rotary clubs and hospitals and community colleges and other groups like that are all just a waste of time. They are all full of people pretending to be important." And so I said, "How about writing articles and getting published? Then you can skillfully merchandise your printed pieces." And with a frown, he quickly shot back in a microsecond. He said, "I'm no writer. Besides, the internet is full of amateur junk writing that is all self-serving. No one reads magazines anymore. Newspapers are going out of business. People don't like to read these days." You see, everything I said, he was telling me is a worthless idea. I said, maybe he might be endorsed by appropriate celebrities, appropriate for his target market segment. And he snapped, "I don't know any real celebrities. That is the most stupid, most wasteful thing I ever heard of. Get serious, Wally. I don't have time to waste disgusting nonsense with you." Guy right there. Next I asked, "Do you use a biographical sketch containing information about you? Is this in your press kit or on your media CD?" He said, "My mother told me when I was 5 years old not to blow my own horn. I don't see any reason to start now. That's not good manners. You see how you shut down anything I said was no good. I suggested next that he arranged for an American flag to be flown over the Senate office building in Washington, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I don't believe in exploiting patriotism. That's wrong and just low class. And then I asked if I could hear his elevator speech, and he replied, I don't believe in tricking folks. I'm honest and I expect them to be honest. I suggested that he be photographed inside Air Force One or coming out with that seal on the door, near the door, and he quickly shot me down by saying that would be unethical. That implies I know the president. I will not be unethical. I could go on, but everything I said, he,
He's a real person?
but yeah, but
Yeah.
he didn't,
Really?
he's been in the business for a huge number of years and not making any more than he made the first year he started. And it says on the disc how long he's been in business. But he was a
Surprised if he still is in business.
born loser. You know, you would have clocked him as that, all of you would. He's not in your league. How to exploit your published articles. You can make the articles work much harder for you after they've been published. When you get an article, an article in Reader's Digest, there's changes taking place in our country. Great changes. Reader's Digest went bankrupt. So many giants of the magazine industry are. But there was a time when an article in Reader's Digest could make your tourist season boom, could make your stock go up. If you told me your name and address, and I was with the Digest, I could tell you who your neighbors were, because some of them were subscribers. But all that's changed. You have to deal with current reality, which modern technology has changed, people's habits have changed. But you can have your picture taken with a respected, famous person for no cost to you. I tell you how to do that. You can get top industry people. You can get the highest, like Nady Fatnica Rosada. He endorses Lou all over the place. He would endorse you. Lou, could we take those pictures, because I've used up a terrible amount of time. Can we take those clock pictures?
We would, except Jeremy had to step out. He'll be back in a few minutes.
Oh, he'll take the pictures.
Yeah. All right, now, I hope every one of you will get the CDs and use them, all right? I mean, honest to God.
Don't get them if you're not going to use them.
No, don't even bother. But some of the stuff in there, the flag, the press kits, you've got to do that stuff, and only you can do it.
And don't tell your friends and buddies how you get this stuff.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Can you use it for different businesses that you may own as long as you're showcasing
Of
different
course,
people?
certainly. I do that all the time with my clients.
Yeah.
I have clients who are motivational speakers.
Yeah. But, get it, you do some of the stuff that's in there. Now, like for celebrities, he tells you how to do it. The problem is, if you do it, it's gonna cost you $500 to $1,000 a piece to get the endorsement. And how many of celebrities are you gonna have to send to get that endorsement? So you're talking about a lot of time and effort. If you go to my site, I wish Jeremy was here, but if you go to my site, how many celebrity endorsements do I have on my site? Has anybody ever looked?
Who have you got?
I got Bruce Jenner, Art Glenna, Steve Allen, or Audrey Meadows. And then Lou Holtz.
You know who Lou Holtz is? Yeah. Wonderful man, real nice.
Yeah, and then I got all the religious leaders that you got for me.
Lou, I think that's a little bit misleading. You're telling them to hire me when they don't. For a lot of this stuff, they don't need me.
Oh, I understand, but to get the celebrity endorsements, I mean, he can get you 10 for $1,000.
I contact 30, because I know I'll get at least 10. I often get more. But if I promise you 10 and deliver 13 or 15, then the client's happy. I like to underpromise and then over-deliver, and then I'm a hero with the client. But I have to contact 30, and some of them will say, I'll be glad to do it. Michael York, you ever heard of him, British actor?
Yes.
He wrote me back and said, I'm on a tour in Europe now, Shakespeare, but when I get back, I'll do it. And I thought, well, he just gave me the brush off. But then when he got back, he asked me, he sent me the endorsement for the client, but he also asked me if I'd be interested in writing a Shakespeare book for him, Shakespeare self-help book. I wrote back and said no, because I hate, detest, and despise Shakespeare. I wish he'd never been born.
Actors love their Shakespeare, don't
My
they?
wife forces me to go see Shakespeare plays at the High Museum and, you know, downtown, and they don't even have scenery on the stage. It's so cheap. You have to suspend your disbelief and imagine the scenery's there. And they're speaking in a language that's prehistoric with some kind of rhythm that makes no sense, using words that don't even exist.
Yeah. I'm
Boy,
with
he
you.
must have had a good promoter.
Put stuff in their mailbox, but I can do.
Well, constant contact
For
is cheap.
seminars and, yes. I
Contact.
know who contact is.
It's really inexpensive, it's like 10, $15 a month, but you can go around, collect business cards, give
Right,
email
and then put it
addresses, and then you just put it into an Excel, upload it, and then you can email blast it. But the nice thing about it is if they don't want to receive it, they can opt out.
Then
And then
unsubscribe.
constant contact will, when you send out your blast, it won't send it to that one person.
The only problem with constant contact is they're very rigid on the spam rules, and they will delete your account in a heartbeat. If you look at AWeb or iContact, a little more lenient on what you get allowed to send out. Yeah.
What were the other companies?
iContact and AWeber.
Yeah, we've used all of them, so.
You know, trial and error. I
Yeah,
think Weber gives you like 30 or 60 days for free.
yeah, yeah.
Not sure.
And they're cheap. Up to
They are
like
cheap.
2,000 people's like
Yeah.
$10 a month or
Yeah,
something.
it's really
It's cheap.
No, you were saying that one of your gentlemen, or one of the other real estate brokers had done a publicity campaign.
Yeah, he did email blasts and word of mouth, and he said it is phenomenal. He's making money. The people are happy. They're saving money because their pawn shops are killing them right now. There's another side, you know. The realtors are really hurting the business, and they're looking for ways to generate income. But I'm thinking when I get my stuff off the ground, I'm going to work with Jeremy, and I'm trying to figure out a way to touch them. Even though the realtors don't have money, they have spouses that are working, or they would not be in the business right now. And that's the same for all over the country. Somebody's got a 401k, somebody's got a pension, somebody needs sending numbers.
I mean, it's simply put, do people want to work with somebody they've never heard of or somebody they know? I mean, it's as simple as that. So the more you get known in your community, in your local community, I'm talking within 5 miles of your home. You know, everybody, these agents that travel all over the place, or 5 miles of your office or whatever. You know, travel all over the place because they think they have to get clients and stuff. If you get known in your community, you don't have to do any of that. You know, I mean, I was very active in scouting. Now, I never talked about my business at the scouting events, you know, my specialty and stuff. But as people got to know me and everything, they'd ask what I do. And I would tell them, you know, I'm a financial advisor and I help people qualify for college financial aid. And they said, well, how do you do that? I said, I don't talk about it here. Here's my card. If you want to talk about it, I'm more than happy. Now, you know, to have you call me in office and stuff. Every one of those people, I mean, every one of them, because I never talked about it at the, you know, at any events or anything else, all of them, from the firemen to the school teachers, every one of them. Well, actually, everybody but the scoutmaster. I don't think I ever got him. Became my clients. But not only that, I was, you know, because I was taking care of people, and I was on the board of trustees for the Methodist Church. What else? I was on did a bunch of things. but I got known by everybody in the town, or in my local community. So how important is it? Very important. I mean, it's what separates, you know, we talked about Ben Feldman. Or did we? I know I was going to talk about, did I talk about Ben Feldman? Ben Feldman was before Manny Faccarazza, or Faccarazza, or whatever, how you pronounce his last name. And he was the #1 insurance agent for, you know, 30 years or 40 years or whatever. And he was a little guy, Lithuanian guy, that spoke with a lisp. Okay? #1 insurance agent in the world for over 30 years. And you know where he did it? In a little town called Liverpool, Ohio.
Oh, yeah, you did tell us.
Okay? How big is Liverpool, Ohio? Was it you that told me?
Yeah, about 9,000.
Right, right. Wasn't that a book?
He was and that's all where he did his business.
Was that book back then? That was a different book.
Okay?
Somebody wrote a book about him, didn't he? Or he wrote
The
a book?
Feldman method, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the key to his success?
The same with Betty, the same with me, the same with, it's all about really helping people. Yeah. I sell money, do you want some? That was one of Ben's, that was one of Ben's things.
I like
I
that.
sell money, do you want some?
Mhm.
You know? Or I sell money for future use.
Mhm.
Or I sell money for pennies on a dollar
Mhm.
now for future use.
Mhm.
Isn't that what we do?
Yeah.
Okay? There's a cost of doing something, and there's a cost of doing nothing. And very often, the cost of doing nothing is more than the cost of doing something. I actually said it right first. That's, all of those quotes I just did are directly from Ben Feldman. Tell me I don't study him.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about taking care of people and caring about people. It's your belief, as Manny said here, standing right here, it's your belief in what you do.
Mhm.
Is that what he said? If you do not believe in what you do, I mean really believe, you're gonna have a tough time in this business. Or in any business. You gotta believe in what you do. I mean, that's the key to this business. And, you know, I say attitude is the key, and I say a lot of keys. But it's belief in what you do. And I mean really believing in it. Understanding that you're there to help people. This isn't a job. It really isn't a career. It's an obsession.
Mhm.
And that's what, but Meddy and Ben, and you talk about John Savage, who's some of the other big ones out there?
Van Mueller.
Van Mueller, oh, Van.
I've got names.
Do you have stuff from Van? I mean, you talk about a overwhelming belief
Yeah.
in what you do. I mean, Van Miller, it's by the way, if you want, it's really Van Mueller, but that's the way it's spelled.
M-U-E-L-L-E-R?
M-U-E-L-L, yeah. Not a lot of what he says is transferable, unfortunately. But I mean, he sells, is it 100 policies a month? Or is it 200 a month?
A little over long.
Yeah, a little over 100 policies per month.
Crazy, what?
Any travels, speaking all over the country.
Now, don't you guess that a lot of these top producers, they meet with the people and then they have their staff do the applications and all that? They're
Oh,
not
yes.
doing all that.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Oh,
no
yeah.
way they're doing that.
No, no. He skeletonizes the app, yeah. I do too.
Well,
I
there's
know.
no reason
No.
that you have to do that. If you have the staff. you
Yeah.
can
Yeah. That's paperwork. You can't make $100 an
Let somebody else be a
hour.
specialist and then you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Okay. But did that answer your question? I mean, really? I mean, that's the, I mean, Mandy is no smarter than, or Ben, or Ben, or, you know, they're no smarter than anybody else. I'm no smarter than you guys. Not in the least. In fact, you're probably a lot smarter than I am. I've just been able to find, you know, if one of you's asked me, you know, I mean, I just, because I studied, had to train agents, I was, you know, as associate branch manager, and because I was successful, they wanted me to help hire and train agents. And I'm not one to just tell people what to do. I want to, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right. So as I'm training the agents, I'm seeing what's working and what's not working. And that's how I developed this system. Because there are a lot of good producers out there. And you know, but not a lot of them can transfer what they know. They don't know why they're successful.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Sincere, good people just don't
Yeah.
know how to transfer.
No. And I didn't know how to transfer it at first, until I was forced to really train people and everything else. And I had a lot of failures at the beginning. You know, I tell them to do this and do it this way, and this is why, and everything. It didn't work. What was I missing? You know, so it's the little things. The other thing is, by the time somebody comes successful, most of the business is referrals.
Right.
They don't remember
Right.
what they did to generate that business.
Because you're just wanting.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the wall that we've all been running up against.
yeah,
That's why we're here.
yeah, but see, it's not that hard to generate referrals or generate leads, yeah, I hope you got the message. You know, you just gotta see, most agents when they come into, or the successful ones, just do whatever it takes. Think about it. That's why they're successful. They're willing to.
They don't quit.
They don't quit.
Yeah. Right.
They'll do whatever it takes. If they have to spend 20 hours of the day to get one appointment, that's what they'll do. They're just not gonna quit. They set themselves a goal. If it's 5 appointments a week, they have 5 appointments every single week. There are no exceptions, you know, in their mind. If that's what it's gonna take to be successful, that's what I'm gonna do. Now, there's some good things and drawbacks to that. You know, everything in moderation. You know, but, you know, you gotta decide what it is that, you know, if you really want to be successful, what's the minimum you're gonna accept? You know, because could you work 70 hours a week for a year if you knew that at the end of the year that you would be doing 40 or 50,000 a month for the rest of your career? You say that,
Yeah,
everybody says it.
but not everybody does it.
The challenge I have with that is that they tell you to get the dollar signs out of your head, but when you break it down to that, then you're back on the dollar signs. So when you look at.
Who said to get the dollar signs out of your head?
Well, Even you indicated that in the seminar, you can't look at them as your next, well, you didn't say next meal ticket, but you can't. You have to look at them as a client and help them first.
Long term.
Yeah.
And the money has to really, in a sense, be secondary.
That's right. The money will come.
The money will follow.
You still don't, you have to break it down into monetary goals, or how many people you have to see to make your sales. But you're not focusing on the money, you're focusing on the things that it's gonna get you there. That's the difference. See, if you focus just on money, or lack of it, then you get what you, you get what you think about. And if you're always worried about not, you're not getting there, you're never gonna get there. As far as financially, you gotta focus on, what you need to do to get there. How many appointments do you need to have a week and as a minimum for yourself? And what are you willing to do each week to get there? That's the hard, cruel reality of it. Successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. I mean, Ben, and all the top producers I know, and this isn't just lip service, they faithfully read an hour or two a day. And everybody says, that's what they're gonna do, and they make that commitment. But and to be honest with yourself, how many hours a week are you really reading, each week about marketing and sales? Be honest with yourself. If you're not doing it an hour a day, then you're gonna have marginal success. Hate to tell you that, but you will. Until you make the commitment that this is really what you want to do, and you really study it an hour every single day. I think it was Ben Franklin said that if you study an hour a day for 5 years, you'll be an industry expert. If you faithfully study an hour a day for 2 to 5 years, I think it's said you'll be an industry expert. Now that, I'm pretty sure it's Ben Franklin, but it might have been C.C. I don't know. I read so many.
I think that's right.
But
What?
it's true
I
though.
think that's right.
Yeah.
Ben Franklin.
What I'm saying, most of you probably don't want to hear, but that's what it takes. I mean, I get up, I slept in the last 2 mornings. I got up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
I get up at 4 o'clock every morning,
you've been doing that for a long time.
or earlier, yeah. And I read at least an hour a day, every day, and I have for, actually, even when I was, the Fortune 500 companies, about quality control or electronics and stuff. So I've been doing it for 40-something years. All right? Now, we were having a discussion, and I'm not saying this to brag, okay? But I have a passion for learning. All right? I took the Air Force exams, and we talked about it, and I'm not saying this to brag, but I aced the exams. I was able to get electronics and everything else. I graduated top of my class out of electronics. I took a course to enter Boston Institute of Technology. They were just the year before they were accredited, and I passed it with the highest exam they ever had. It was I was given free tuition. I never went. I met my wife, and that was the end of that. But it's because I have a passion for learning. When it wasn't, I couldn't have sat down and just taken those exams. All right? Before I took those exams, I found out what they were about. And I studied. So when I took those exams, I had an idea of what was going to be on the test. They're like SATs. Why do you think they have, pre-study, for SATs and stuff? You don't get top grades and become a professional and everything else by not putting the effort in. And that's what Medi does, then all the top producers. I don't know one of them. I mean, Van Miller, he's always pulling stuff out of the newspaper and articles, and that's what he uses.
Right,
How could he do that if he wasn't studying them?
right, of course.
Yeah.
He probably pays people $10 when they find an article he likes it. You know what I'm saying? He
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
have time to do that.
Oh, I bet he does do it.
He probably does read, but
Yeah.
he's running a lot.
Oh, yes, he is. No, he reads 10 newspapers a day. Oh, I
Okay,
talked to him.
I got his stuff for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the airplane rides.
Yeah, all the airplane rides and stuff. He does. He reads 10 newspapers a day.
Amazing.
Okay.
What about agent, do you guys all have office? Jay, I know you, assume you have an office. Do you guys all have offices? You are a captive agent, are you?
I'm semi-captive.
I have a virtual office.
If you're asking if you need an office, no.
I just have a professional address
Right,
where my mail goes.
right.
My licenses are attached to that address.
Now,
I
in
mean,
my,
I've had an office before, but
no, I don't have an office. I don't have a separate office. Now, you know what I have.
yeah,
It's in the basement of my home.
yeah.
I mean, it's a big basement, a lot of offices and stuff, and I got a kitchen down there and everything else. But why do I need to be paying a separate office rent?
Well, I'm different. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was just life insurance or something, I
Yeah.
probably would, I would have done.
Yeah, as a P&C agent, you have to
You
have
have
a,
to have-
Yeah, and I
Residence.
used to have a PNC office, so I get it.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
have to have a
I hate to
presence.
put my home address, I don't want it on my card.
Yeah.
That's
Just
fine.
can't.
and for females, yes, I
So I thought I'll have a
understand.
website and a phone number,
Yeah,
and for seminars and stuff, I'll just go to their home, I
Yeah.
guess.
yeah, that's
For
all you
now,
have.
anyway.
Yeah,
Now, and
Where's
like
the
the
best
virtual,
place to go to have a website created?
I'm gonna experiment, and I hope I'm right. Go to Torrid Technology. They most certainly do.
Who,
Like Torrid Technology. Tell them that I sent you and tell them to give you a good deal.
TOR,
Torrid Technology.
LLDY.
all right.
Did they do your site now?
No,
I
I
just
do
saw
my,
something that had one by them.
You know, it's not just a website. You have to
yeah,
go to
Torrid
the-
Technologies, I've looked at some of their
You
sample
wanna-
sites and they look a little different than not the cookie
You
cutter.
don't just want, I mean, you can get,
Yeah, you don't like
anybody can
templates.
get your
Yeah.
website.
Mhm.
But something you can
And,
contact
no, we do our own, I do my own
somebody
site.
that
You
can
do.
help you get leads.
Sure,
You
sure.
You can't
capture
tell.
leads, that's what you
No,
want.
that's
Sure.
what.
Maybe you can get.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Just for, what-
Yeah.
if you want to name it.
Sure,
You give your-
would it,
It's
I
out
don't
with
know his
information.
phone
Yep.
number, give
Yeah.
me your card. and
People
I'll
love
have them
information.
call you.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll exchange your price.
yeah. Have you looked at it since we've updated it?
Just spring before I came out of here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we just changed the color scheme and everything. Okay. But Torrid Technologies, and look at their software. You don't need it right now, but they have some very nice software and some nice stuff there. Just tell them we sent you. If you would, please. All right. Before we, wrap up and do some of the other stuff that we want to do, about the fact finding. I mean, we spent, what, 3.5 hours on it today? Or 3 hours? All right, I'm gonna do some 5-minute presentations to give you some, some things you can do in front of clients. But is there any questions on the fact finding itself? I mean, because I could talk 2 or 3 days on fact finding, and going through all the questioning and everything else. But I mean, it's, I mean, it's, I can't get it all in.
Well, let me ask you one question, because I know that initially this would be great, but how would you reapproach it to a client that you've already met with? Because you're saying go back and meet with them 6 months to a year, and then you're just really just updating what you've already done.
And I would talk about, I would go through the whole fact find again. Well, when we were here last time, here's what we did. Now, do you still feel the same about your retirement? And go through each one of them. To figure out what's changed and everything else. See, that's going to remind them why they did it. So are we on track to do, we talked about doing this here, or we only took care of part of this, for your retirement. And how do you feel about that? I mean, you're now being able to put more money away, now what's, so it's just doing, it's really starting from scratch, or just adding what you've already done in, and then asking more questions about it.
Can I ask you what the income tax and the earned income credit has to do with the situation?
You want to explain, Jeremy?
Well, I know that's money that they're kind of...
Yeah, it's a way to free up additional money for people. I mean, just money they're already getting, that they're using, paying up credits of the year, taking vacation with. It's helping them set better priorities by using that money for something that's going to be something useful long-term for them. Whether it be retirement, put the kids through college, either better spent on vacation, or it's better spent on paying, for Jamie's college.
Yeah. Remember, this is about helping them to find the money. No matter what you're doing, whether you're talking to seniors or pre-retirees or whatever. If if they need life insurance, or they need to upgrade their homeowners or auto, nobody has any extra money.
Right.
So you have to help them find the money.
What about the emergency cash fund? Where's their emergency cash fund? Is that within their life insurance? Are you creating that sense of need in there?
It depends on the client. Sometimes we create it separately and keep it separate for the first 3 or 4 years, and then roll in the policy long-term, because some policies have no early cash value. It's hard to loan against them in their first couple of years, so you have to think of some other creative options at that point. But
Okay.
Okay. What else?
You put those free booklets in the newspaper and advertise for them. We hand them out to, obviously. Get a pretty decent response rate. I'm guessing you're gonna get calls.
Yeah, I mean, the last one agent I knew that did it,
That one guy you said doesn't.
yeah, got 67 calls for running for 3 days over the weekend or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that happening on the volatile market. And if you could,
Yeah.
Jay, if you can send me that piece, that will help me when I get those calls. But I think that's a place I'm going to start, that I'm not scared. I was gonna run a CD piece, CDs versus annuities, but I think that's a better plan.
Information always.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many different ways you can do this. Just specialize and work on one
Thing.
way.
One thing.
One thing to get it really working. And when I say specialize in one thing, I'm not talking about specializing in just, with the booklets.
Yeah.
I'm talking about if you're gonna do seniors and losing money in the market, let that be your message so you have continuity. They look at it, so now they start thinking you of that person. Does that make sense?
I think so. So you're saying whether you are working both life insurance with the younger demographic and with seniors for annuities, you're saying let your message be the same, right?
Yeah,
Stop your stock market losses.
yeah. Well, no, yeah, and if you go, you really need to focus on one or the other market because it's a different person. It's different, you know, they have different problems, just like we talked about. So you really have to focus on either seniors or pre-retirees. It's very difficult to focus on both of them.
Yeah, you have to be a specialist in a particular market to really make any serious money. If you look at a general practitioner versus a surgeon, who makes more money? You know, it's the specialist that's gonna make the most. So you like to focus in on one market, you know, find and really identify their problems and really stick to that group.
Okay, based on that and the book that I just read, the ebook that I just read last night, I get that, but if you focus on, I'm sorry, what is your name? Denise. What Denise just said, you know, retires or the boomers, and you want to do the thing on the volatile market, let me help you protect your dollars. That could be anybody.
It could be anybody, but what you're gonna find is the bullet points that you're gonna use for that
Yeah.
are gonna attract certain people.
Oh, automatically, huh?
Yes. See, it's the bullet points in there that are gonna get, you know, because I
That
mean,
surprises me.
yeah. Well, remember, in a volatile market, because we'll talk about just that, you don't want to be pulling in people that are young. Think
Right.
about this for a second.
Right.
Because if
They don't have any dollars.
they don't have, or if what dollars they have are where? 401ks that you can't touch. Remember, you want to be pulling in the people you have the best chance of selling now.
So
Not
that,
that you can't help these other people,
okay.
but who do you have the best chance of converting, and I'll stop saying selling because of what you said a minute ago, of converting into a client. Who do you have the best chance of making them a client? It's just like if you're selling life insurance, do you want to be attracting single people with no children, no responsibility, or do you want to be married with a home, children, the whole 9 yards? Who do you have the best chance of selling? And that's what you got to look at. You know, there are, how many people in the United States? Does anybody know what the population is?
300 million,
Excuse me?
300 million, give or take.
Okay. All right, do you know how many insurance agents there are?
1 million.
1 million.
Really?
So if we're talking about how many? 300 million? Is that what you said? So that leaves how many people for every insurance agent?
I think they're all Philadelphia, all those agents.
Well, that's not all the P&C agents. No, what I'm saying is, there's more than enough, because there's, how many of those are actually active?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay? I mean, there are more than enough people out there. You know, so why not, so why just take any one body? Why would you want to just, you know, attract anybody in a generic, you know, by running a generic ad that you never know who you're gonna get? Don't you wanna focus or get that tunnel vision so you're attracting your best prospect?
So then in that instance, I really shouldn't do both annuities and life insurance. I should have a focus of one or the other.
That's right. But you've already done part of it. The question is, you know, you've already done some of that. And I'm being wishy-washy, I guess. But seriously, you've already done the direct mail. You've got people calling you in and stuff. And your situation is you need the cash flow. All right, so right now, until you get the other going, if that's what you decide you want to do, or is to work with young people, Until you get that going, yeah, you have to continue, so you have your cash flow. So you gotta do what you have to do, but you gotta look at what you wanna be doing long-term. Does that help in any?
It's good conversation, Jenny, isn't it?
So in the
It'll save us
beginning, you
time.
take anyone with a pulse. And as you build your
No.
war chest, and as you build your
That's
PR,
true, though.
then you can go ahead and start really focusing in on what's going to be truly profitable for you for the long term.
Start reading
And I
it.
guess that's what you're saying.
Because
that
I
the
wasn't
life-
amazing like Lou was in the beginning, so
Yeah.
I did take anyone with a pulse. Or
Everybody was reading.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
See,
so
some people that I had to
It's
resuscitate.
$20 my first one.
Everybody
Yeah.
yeah, sure they have.
Yeah, and I did too, but what I'm saying is, if
See,
you
well,
be,
that's not pathetic. We were all there.
Sure,
And how happy were you to get that check for
Oh, I'm
$25?
so-
sure,
yeah,
that's the truth.
but you can make it easier by being more selective, by really targeting your message, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, so too many people just put a generic thing out there and take anybody.
Like, yeah.
Well, I think the difference is that you're here getting the education, whereas obviously we've been in the field for years without any, focused direction, and we're obviously coming back and saying, we know we're lacking in these skills,
Sure.
we need them so we can have that direction, and that's the difference. You're here at a crucial time. It just took us a lot longer because no one was leading us
Yeah, that's
there.
why we really don't like you.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna be so
I
much
mean,
further along.
right,
than we are.
I wish I
They're so
had.
jealous.
Without the
Right,
baggage.
I mean,
Without the baggage.
honestly, I wish I had this information when I started off, because I think my career would have been a lot more than it is today. I mean, I know that I still have the drive and the ambition to get there. It's just I wish I had those tools in the beginning, so.
Okay.
So are you saying though, and I'm sorry, I'm drilling down on this, but it is a good conversation. Long-term, I know it's not all about money, but end of the day, we do like a paycheck for our hard
Right.
work. If we're
Right.
gonna commit to 70 hours a week, we wanna be paid representatively. So are you saying that you can make more money selling life insurance if that's your focus as opposed to just annuities?
No, I'm saying if you focus on one or the other, you'll make more money as a specialist in one area with one group of people.
Because you'll be able to focus in and identify the people that are gonna fit what you're selling, and then you'll be able to fit what you have to people's needs. You'll be able to recognize the needs that fit your product specialty.
And hopefully become known within that group of,
Yeah, I don't know, maybe an example, if I start talking to Lou and all he talks about is how he does these options and this, that, and the other, and, we talk and talk and talk, obviously, he's gonna wanna stay in equities, that's what he's always done, he's comfortable with it, it'd be very hard to move him over, as opposed to speaking with maybe Jeremy, and he's like, I just want to save my money, I don't want to lose it.
Well, I just want to look at it as like, a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
I have a tendency to lose respect for agents that I see are doing mortgages, doing tax, but I know like a lot of CPAs, and they're getting into that, and then I have a tendency to look at them and say, okay, but are you good at any one thing? What is your specialty? What are you doing well at?
He's been trying to get some words
I'm
out.
sorry.
The only thing I just wanted to say is that, in my opinion, if you focus on helping people solve problems using life insurance, you'll make annuity sales.
Good perspective.
Thank you, that's what I was,
That's a good
tell you.
answer.
If you focus on annuities, you will never sell life insurance.
Is that right?
Well,
Well, maybe not.
yeah,
never.
not as much, yeah, and it's gonna be tough on underwrite and everything else. Go back to jack of all trades, master of none. If you gotta help, if you're a senior with a health problem, who do you wanna go to? A general physician
Specialist.
or a specialist? Okay, you wanna go to somebody that's, who deals with infants
no,
or
geriatric care.
geriatric. And that's the point.
Right.
So seniors want somebody that understands them. All right? And that's the problem, is getting into that market. It's a, you know, and everybody else is there.
Yeah.
I mean, you wanna talk about competition, everybody thinks that's where they make the money. Is it?
Repeat what you just said, that's where one thinks the money is, what were you talking about?
With seniors.
Oh.
The seniors, okay?